How could Yiftach do such a thing and offer his daughter either as a korban or seclude her or whatever? It's terrible what happened. I mean, why would anyone have to keep such a vow? So we already began to discuss how, and even when she went to the Sanhedrin, we ended off yesterday by saying, how could they not find an opening for her? It says Hashem hid it from them, that they shouldn't find it. Why? Because of the Avera of what Yiftach did by killing the 42,000 people in the story that happened with the people of Ephraim. Right? So he hid it from them for that reason. So we have to understand exactly what was the logistics of this. So Ramban, interestingly enough, in Sefer Vayikra, gives us the solution to the little mystery over here that we're trying to figure out over here. And it says in Vayikra, Perek Chav Zayin, Pasuk Chav Tes, it talks about different vows and things like that. And when you want to give the value of something, a value of an animal, a value of a person to the Beis HaMikdash. So it says in Perek Chav Zayin, Pasuk Chav Tes. It's a very tricky pasuk to translate. It says, Kol cherem asher yocharam min ha'adam lo yipadeh mos yumas. Any condemned, our scroll translates, any condemned person has been banned from mankind shall not be redeemed, he shall be put to death. So, what does that mean? So, Yiftach made a mistake, and he thought that pasuk means if a leader bans someone, puts someone in cherem, excommunicates someone, it really means that person is supposed to be put to death. And anyone who violates that ban would be put to death. And he thought that his situation was exactly what the pasuk was saying. He said, you make a cherem, you put a ban on something, this will go to Hashem, right? That person would have to die, or anybody else who nullifies that ban would have to die. But the Ramban says, but he didn't know, because that's not what it's talking about. So I'm going to ban against people who rebel against the king. And if people are troublemakers, and he makes a ban on them, then they should be put to death, and anybody who helps such a person will be put to death. Or someone who goes against the decrees of a king is someone who is banned and is put to death. But to say that a vow, see where cherem can mean a vow, it can mean banning someone, translation always precise. So that was his mistake. And the truth of the Medrash says that he could have gotten out of the vow so much that he wouldn't have even have to pay any money as a punitive measure. Nothing. So you see what came out of all this. So what do we see from this? There's a concept in Tehillim that says, Elokim nitzav ba'adas el, bekerev Elohim yishpot. I mean, God resides in the congregation of God, meaning to say a congregation of judges. Amongst the judges he rules. In other words, we've said this in the past, that when a Jewish court convenes, a true halachic Orthodox Jewish court convenes, so they are merely manifesting the ratzon of Hashem, the will of Hashem. Hashem wants there to be justice in this world. They look in the Torah, they come to a conclusion, and the conclusion of what Hashem wants is there. And a judge, before he renders decisions, have to feel as if there's a sword, mamish, stretching out to kill everybody here if we make a mistake. We are actualizing the will of Hashem. Right? You know, one person damages another person. Hashem wants it to get fixed up. Who's going to do it? The court has to do this. They're the agents of Hashem. That's why in the Torah, a Beis Din is called Elohim, which also means powerful, but it means it's mamish, the manifestation of Hashem's will happening in this world. He wants people to make sure that what should be done according to the Torah is done. And we've learned that Ramban says that explains the paradoxical halacha of Eidim Zomim, of false witnesses. We know that if false witnesses testify in a Jewish court and the Beis Din renders an incorrect judgment based on assuming the testimony was correct, and they say, let's say someone should be put to death, and the Beis Din paskins and they rule the person should be put to death, and then what happens? right before he's put to death, we find out that these witnesses were total liars. So what happens? We put the witnesses to death. Like you wanted to do, that's what happens to you. But what happens if we don't find out that they're liars until after the person unfortunately has been killed? What is the halacha? The Torah says we do not kill the false witnesses. The Torah says we do to them as they wanted to do, but not as they actually did. Which raises the obvious question: what are you talking about? If for attempted murder we kill them, for actual murder we let them free? What's going on? So Ramban right there explains. He says that the Jewish courts are nothing more than a manifestation of God's will. If God wanted that person to not die, He would have made sure that witnesses would have come and shown that these first witnesses were liars. It's all up to Hashem. And this person must have done something. You never know. He could have maybe killed someone by accident and nobody saw, and he never went to a city of refuge. He could have murdered somebody. He could have done an affair. It could be a gilgul of somebody. We don't know. But that person was supposed to die for whatever reason Hashem wanted. So He found witnesses to lie. You never know. You don't know. The ways of Hashem are so mysterious, and we don't know. If a person, who knows? Who knows? We could speculate. Let's say a person makes kiddush and doesn't do tshuva before he makes kiddush. So we don't think that's a very big deal. Well, so I said kiddush. Every Jew says kiddush. I say kiddush. But as I said last Friday night, that kiddush is a testimony that God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. And the only person who's entitled to make a testimony in a Jewish court is a kosher Jew. A person who's not a kosher Jew is not allowed to testify in a Jewish court. So when you testify every Friday night that God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh, and now you go and do averos during the week. If you do averos during the week, you're not a kosher witness. So you've been falsely testifying maybe your whole life. We don't think, what's the big deal? I didn't do tshuva. I'll wait till Yom Kippur. So once a year you're true a testimony. So a person lies his whole life, and maybe his Shabbos observance isn't really the way it should be. And there's aspects of Chilul Shabbos not according to the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law. You understand? What's the punishment of Chilul Shabbos? If you desecrate the Shabbos, you're supposed to get stoned. You get killed. It's a capital punishment. Okay, so we don't know, but for certain people on certain levels, Hashem can judge very strictly. I'm not suggesting for a minute that people who make kiddush and are ignorant should be put to death. God forbid. But you don't know in God's world what He expects from certain people. So we don't realize that we do things. We're false witnesses. So you're a false witness all your life. So you know what? When it's time for you to die, I gave you a certain amount of years. Whatever I give you, 64 and a half years. Whatever it is. You got to die. You could have died from a heart attack. You could have died in your sleep. I have you die by false witnesses killing you because you were a false witness your whole life. Well, not that he's being killed because he made kiddush without doing tshuva. Don't get nervous here. But you were a false witness your whole life. So when you have to die, I'll have you die in a way that a false witness kills you. That's all. You're going to die anyway. So the Bezdin was only... The Bezdin asked all their questions. They weren't negligent. They asked the witnesses a million questions. They were satisfied. I guess the witnesses practiced their routine very much. Now, is a Bezdin perfect? No. But God is. So God will make the Bezdin make a mistake that will fit into His perfect way. It's not meant as a cop-out. So every Bezdin, no matter how schmoey they are, is always have an excuse that Hashem wanted it that way. Yeah. No, we're talking about righteous tzaddikim who are trying their very best. And if they would make a mistake, it must be that God wanted them to make a mistake. Do you understand? You understand? So that's why Hashem stands in a Jewish court. That's why a Jewish court has the power to convert someone. It's a big deal. You have a non-Jew, and all of a sudden, because he goes from a Bezdin, all of a sudden he becomes a Jew. He says the magic words, I want to be a Jew. The Lord says, yes, you are a Jew. Finished, he's a Jew. Who made the Bezdin so powerful to put a neshama into this guy? They don't have any power. But God is sitting there. So God is sitting there. God's going to give him a Jewish soul. The Bezdin is just a vehicle for that to happen. So it's a serious business. So coming back to our discussion over here with Yiftach.
I'm sorry, just on that subject. So does that mean that the Bezdin has Ruach HaKodesh, or they're just like shlichim, like they're just
yeah. It depends what kind of Bezdin it was. It depends what time in history. But certainly they are the vehicle of Hashem's Hashgacha Pratis. Hashem will manipulate their minds if necessary, or manipulate. Oh, I never thought of asking that question. I don't know. All the time I always remember to ask that question. I didn't ask the question this time. Wow, how could it be I forgot the question? Because Hashem made you forget the question, that's all. So Hashem is using them as the tools to manifest His divine supervision.
More like guidance.
Is that different from Nevuah?
For sure it's different than Nevuah. Nevuah, the Navi knows Hashem is talking to him. The judges don't know that Hashem is talking. Hashem is not talking to them. He's manipulating them.
Guiding.
He's manipulating them. He's there. He's activating. They don't know. They don't. That itself, of the giving the verdict. Hashem's not whispering in their ears what to say. It's their judgment that they feel. Hashem, can provide them with more wisdom or less wisdom as He wishes them to have. And a judge can, you've had many cases where you had clever judges who were able to chop criminals. There was one case where a guy got married to a woman, and then just one day vanished. Right after the chasana, just vanished. It didn't see him for years. And the woman couldn't get remarried. All of a sudden, this guy comes back after he says, "I'm back." So a yeshiva bacher is yeshiva bacher. They all look the same. They all have beards and long coats, and they're scraggly, and if the guy looks pretty much the same, and the wife, barely knew him. Like it was mamish. It's like only not even a week. You know what I mean? It was like. So how much do you think she knew the chassan, right? So the guy comes, and the father says, "I don't know, he looks like him, but it's been years." So he takes him into the house, and he's not sure. He goes to the rabbi, says, "Rabbi, there's a big issue. If it's not the guy, right? It's the biggest affair in the world. Married woman, she's still married, living with another guy." So, "Rabbi, what should we do?" The rabbi says, "No problem. This is what you do. When you come to shul, when he comes, you tell him this Shabbos to come to shul with you, and tell him, years ago when he came for the Ufruf, the first Shabbos, he went to shul with you too many years ago, and he sat down next to you. So what you do is you tell the guy, okay, you're going to come to shul with me, and sit in your regular seat." Sit in your regular seat. Seat where we always sat. So the guy didn't know what to do. They exposed him on the spot. Because every chassan would have remembered where he sat next to his shver before the wedding. You're not going to forget that seat in the shul. Right? I remember I sat next to my shver for years. I knew where the seat was. I can tell you right now where the seat is. In the old shul. They don't daven it anymore. Right? So now, where did the rabbi get such a clever idea? Hashem gave him the idea. Finished. And if he wouldn't have given the right idea, then he might have said, "Yeah, I guess so." Because he knew a lot of intimate details. The guy knew intimate details of this other guy. So it turns out that this guy met the guy. He told him all his life story, and then the guy died. The husband died. So he figured, why?
True story?
Yeah, it's a true story. So the guy tells all the intimate details. Isn't that? They figure, he must have been the guy. So Hashem gave him the idea.
So it wouldn't have been an Aveira anyway, would it?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It would have been the wrong person.
No, but the guy died already.
I understand, but he shouldn't have been. It was a lie. I don't remember all the details. Maybe the guy didn't die. I don't remember all the details. But you see these kinds of stories. So Hashem manipulates the Bezdin. So you can imagine, you got Yiftach over here, okay? He might not be the biggest Talmud Chacham in the world. Okay, maybe Yiftach can make a mistake. But then she went to the real Sanhedrin. So the real Sanhedrin made the mistake. What do you mean they made a mistake? Hashem made them, it's not ignorance. They misinterpreted the Pasuk. Why? Because that's where Hashem wanted it. So now you can understand. Now let's go back to that medrash we said yesterday. The Medrash criticized Yiftach for not going to Pinchas. Why didn't you go to Pinchas to find a solution to the problem? And the Medrash also criticized Pinchas. Why didn't he come to help them out? So now everybody can understand. He said, Yiftach figures like this. I couldn't figure out the answer. I let my daughter go to the Sanhedrin, 70 of the wisest men in Israel, and they can't find a solution. What is it? Why should I go to Pinchas? He's just one rabbi. I already heard 70 rabbis. Do you understand? 70 rabbis. And they all said, you're going to have to keep it the way it is. Right? So what does the Medrash say? The Medrash uses the word, what did Yiftach do? Noheg gedula ba'atzmo. He conducted himself with greatness. He thought it was a big shot. Okay, so it's not the conventional understanding now. It's not like he was such an arrogant guy he wouldn't go to Pinchas. He went to the Beis Din already. But the rabbis are saying, this is like a very fine, precise, exacting judgment. Outwardly he wasn't such an arrogant guy, but even after went to the Beis Din, what Hashem expected out of such a person who tried to be a tzaddik is, you still would go to Pinchas, even if it doesn't seem to, even if Beis Din, no, but still it's your daughter. So lower yourself more. Go to somebody else. So it's not the conventional. I don't want to hear any opinions. He heard an opinion. He heard the Sanhedrin. It's not a small thing. He's so arrogant. Can you imagine if the guy said, "I don't want to hear from anybody. I'm making the decision. You can't go to the Sanhedrin. You can't do anything." That would really be incredible arrogance. You're the 70 smartest rabbis in the world saying there's no way out. So what does it matter to Pinchas? Yeah, but maybe Pinchas still is a Navi. Will it hurt you any? So there must have been a smidgen of arrogance to not want to go to Pinchas. So now let's reverse it. Let's look at it from Pinchas' side now. We said, and Pinchas was also blamed because he says, why should I go to him? Yeah. So now we understand a little better. Pinchas figured, now the truth is, Pinchas knew the answer. Now if Pinchas didn't know the answer, we couldn't criticize him, right? Can we criticize Pinchas if Pinchas would have come to the same conclusion? No. Like Pinchas knew what was going on. And let's say in Pinchas' mind. What was going on in Pinchas' mind? How did he, in his, everywhere when things go on, we all give our own judgments, right? Somebody goes, they shouldn't have done that. Everybody, he knew what was going on. They didn't go to him, but he knew what was going on. So what was going on in his mind? Either one of two things. Either he felt he would have found a way to get the daughter off the hook, or not a way to get the daughter off the hook, right? So if there was a way to get the daughter off the hook, and obviously the rabbis, then we can blame him. But if even he felt there was no way to get her off the hook, then he couldn't be blamed.
That's what he felt.
So how did we blame him for not helping? Must be he knew she deserved not to get killed. Wait a minute. If she deserved not to get killed, so why didn't he come? The answer is because he knows that they went to the Sanhedrin. They're going to the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin will for sure know the right answer. For sure. If I know it, for sure the Sanhedrin will know it. And the Sanhedrin, Paskin, so what I don't have to bother. Let me go back in my cave and go commune with God. The Sanhedrin will take care of it. If I know the answer, they for sure know the answer. Right? But they for sure did not know the answer. Do you understand? They for sure did not know the answer. But he didn't know that. Pinchas did not know that. So then Pinchas didn't do anything wrong. Pinchas didn't do anything wrong. He was sure the Sanhedrin would take care of it. Okay, these aren't, it's not like the days of, CNN and the internet, you keep following day to day, second by second coverage over here. You hear, it takes, when did he hear it? Who knows when he heard it? Okay, he heard about it, he says, okay, that's the end of it, let me go back to my cave and learn. It's the end of the parsha, I don't care. They'll deal with it. Right? Pinchas wasn't as involved, that he's the enigmatic figure. But come the rabbis and say, you know what? Even so, he should have made sure. So there was a certain amount of arrogance on Pinchas' part. He should have followed up and just by the way, whatever happened with the Sanhedrin's Psak Halacha? Just to be sure. So if he wasn't, there was a criticism of him. So you can see how great people are God is exacting in their judgment of them. And of course, it wasn't just just superficial politics, right? So now we see. So because that Yiftach had 42,000 people killed, he didn't have any rachmanis. We can say, well, what do you want? He couldn't stop them. It was, you got to remember also, Pinchas had his cadre of people. You got to remember, who were Pinchas's cronies? The Rekim, the empty ones. Remember, and he fought B'nai Ammon. He had a lot of troops. So you can imagine, you're the general of a bunch of ruffians. Okay, you got to understand what's going on over here. You have to be able to control your own crowd. Okay, imagine the ruffians were insulted big time by the people from Ephraim. Hey, you guys are a bunch of schmoes. You're the lowest. You're the remnants of us. You're not. You tell that. Go to a Hell's Angels convention. You got 20,000 Harley Davidsons parked there, and go there and talk to them. And say you're a bunch of schmoes, a bunch of lowlifes, a bunch of this, that. Come here and say that again, please. He said you're a bunch of schmoes, a bunch of lowlifes. This. Okay. And the leader of the convention is a shtickle mensch. So guys, let's try to talk. We ain't talking about anything, man. We're gonna take it outside, right? So there's only so much Yiftach could have done. Got to also remember. So but obviously, but he allowed it to go on. He didn't go out of his way to stop it. So Hashem's going to make you realize, so in your life you're going to suffer too. And therefore I will stage events in a way that the person won't know, you won't know. And Pinchas will figure you think you would have known. Okay, so that now it still begs a few more issues, because if you learned that she was killed, then it's easy to understand. Because Pinchas wakes up one day and reads in the newspaper she's killed. Says, what? How could that be? They're going to Sanhedrin. It was a simple open and shut case. Then at least you could say that. But if she was put away in a tower, she's probably in that tower for, 30, 40 years, no? So didn't Pinchas find out at one time she was in the tower for 30, 40 years? So you know what, I'd like to suggest maybe we should reopen the case. So we have to give one of two answers to that. Either there's one ruling that says once a Bezdin makes a law, you can't change it unless another Bezdin is greater than that Bezdin. So Pinchas is one guy, you can't overturn a Bezdin's ruling, A. Or B, we could try a whole different slant. This is all speculation, we can't say for sure. Or you could say, maybe Pinchas didn't think she could be saved either. Could be he didn't think she could be saved either. So then, well, my goodness gracious, what do you think Hashem wanted from anybody then?
That's
the answer is, you know what? Even if Pinchas didn't have a solution, he still should have gone and said, you know what, let me go and see what's going on. And it could well be in the merit of feeling for the other person's pain, Hashem would have put in his mind the right answer. You have to do something to deserve that Hashem should give you the right answer, no? So Pinchas already was, what, I have to get involved in what's going on, or there's a best, and they'll take care of it, I don't have to worry about it. So again, no, it's like Olam Chaver, you have to take your brother's cause, it has to be serious. The Shofet's daughter is in trouble. I know this is centered, but maybe you never know what I might be needed for. And maybe in that slush he would have been informed what the real halacha was. So it's all speculation. Well, Chazal say it clear. Pinchas is criticized, that's for sure. He didn't go, that's for sure. Yeah. We can't just say grub, he's a grub politician who got insulted and therefore he's not coming. So we can't say that about Pinchas. So we have to understand that he had a justification. He thought for sure it was going to be solved. Okay, so he wasn't involved in that. Okay, so that gives you a little bit more depth. It's not just an open and shut simple case of ignorance. He put his daughter away and finished. Didn't try to help her and finished. Obviously, he tried. But you need zchuyot, you need merits to be able to solve problems. And you have to do something in order to get that merit. When you kill 42,000 people, that ain't going to be a good merit for you.
But if I argued it this way, if I say, why did Pinchas didn't intervene? Because the descendants of Ephraim turned to become idol worshippers. They were immoral, and they were idol worshippers.
People of Ephraim were immoral people, yes.
Because, just relax, because he doesn't want idol worshipping in Judaism, so he just as the tribe of Reuben.
So why does that explain Pinchas not getting involved?
Because they were idol worshippers and they were immoral people.
No, we're talking about the daughter.
Right. Well, why should the daughter of Yiftach be suffer? Why should the daughter of Yiftach suffer?
1,000 people killed. And Pinchas was standing. He didn't intervene.
Okay. Well, we're going to see in a minute. Just hold on. Just hold on for one.
He didn't intervene.
And therefore what? And therefore what?
So that because why he didn't do it? Because these people were, you see, low life. They were idol worshippers.
I understand.
And Pinchas talking about.
So why should an innocent girl die because of this?
I'm not talking about the innocent girl. I'm talking about the 42,000 who died.
Well, that's
So I'm not sure. So what's your point? What's the point you're making? What's the point you're making?
No, the point is that Pinchas was not aware of what's going on. Pinchas was aware of it.
He was aware.
He was relaxed. He didn't want to intervene because these people were corrupted. They were idol worshippers.
Okay, so that's a very nice.
They were not going to the. They were not doing the Torah. They should be doing Torah as Jews.
Okay, so you're telling me. Okay, so I hear what you're saying. So you're telling me that if a prophet hears that people are sinning, he should just let them rot and not try to help them. Is that what you're saying? Isn't the job of a prophet to give musar to the people and rebuke them and try to change them? So it's a nice idea, and I think many people would think that way. That's why you're a good segue for me now. 1 second, because there's a medrash that addresses your issue. So we have to defer to the midrash, right? So we have to. You're saying good logical things, right? So that's why we need the medrash to tell us that sometimes our logic is not enough. We need to go to a further logic to understand God's logic. So, so you're thinking good. You're using your head well, but that's why we all could have thought this. Right? And you're the brave one to say it. But the midrash understands a little deeper. So let's see what the midrash says. Then I'll take your question, Esther. So the midrash says, "V'shema tomar," you might say, why did these 42,000 guys die? Who was responsible for their death? Asks the midrash. So he says like this: Yiftach hagiladi nadar ned. Yiftach made a vow. You know the vow, which was not proper. That his daughter should be killed or put away, whatever. Now let's try to get the whole. The message is beautiful. It's so sensitive. Now let's understand exactly what's going on now. Yiftach has made a vow. He is in crisis. He made a foolish vow. Because of his vow, his daughter is going to have to die. Would you say the father's in crisis?
Yeah.
I mean, it was his only daughter. It's not, right? He didn't have any other kids. No, this is it. The only daughter. This is it. He's in crisis. So now and the daughter says, well, let me at least go to the Beis Din. And what's the very next story? And now the people of Ephraim, they come up to argue with him and to make trouble with him. Say, why didn't you call us to battle? Why didn't you this? Right? Now, how insensitive can you be?